Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome. We'd like to begin our celebration, and I want to begin by welcoming everyone who's here in person and everyone who's joining us online. Thank you for taking the time. This is an incredibly important, historic, and exciting moment. It is one of perseverance, collaboration, renewal, conservation, and most of all, community. I'm Helen Taylor. I'm the State Director for the Nature Conservancy's work in Michigan, and we're here to celebrate the launch of the new 334-acre Saginaw Riverfront Park. I think we should clap. And because of its importance, the history of this land, we have many, many leaders here today who want to share their story of why it's important. Many are going to share in how they were involved in the effort, how they themselves, their organizations and departments were involved, but most of all, we're here to celebrate. And before we actually show this absolutely beautiful video of the park, and I introduce the speakers, I just want to share how this project, this whole collaboration began. 8 years ago, in August of 2012, the Nature Conservancy purchased the Germania golf course next door. We purchased it at auction because it was in foreclosure, and we gave it to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and they transformed it into a beautiful extension of the Shiawassee Refuge. And it triggered a phone call the very next month, in September 2012, 8 years ago, and I got this call from the Racer Trust. And they said, wow, if you're interested in golf courses, maybe you're interested in this place. So we have some maps we want you to see. So, of course, from a conservation standpoint, protecting and restoring 350 acres on a riverfront, a riparian corridor, the convergence of three rivers, that was really exciting. But the truth is it wasn't for the Nature Conservancy to decide. So the next thing we did is I began to call community leaders to ask them what should be the future of this land. And what was so great is everybody said, let's make it a park. Let's make it a park for the people of Saginaw and for future generations. And what I actually thought was one of the most fun comments, and I heard this more times than I can count, so many people said, the children in Saginaw need a good sledding hill and they don't have one. And so now the landfill behind us is that. So a perfect win-win for nature and people. Everybody got what they wanted. So this was the beginning of an effort that connected so many people, too many to even name, you know who you are. And they're all represented by the organizations and the speakers here today. These are the people that leaned in, that made commitments and decisions that made it possible to be here today. I'm proud to work for an organization that provided some glue, but honestly, the credit goes to everybody else you're going to hear from today. You know how they say that good things happen to all those who wait. I'm not sure I agree with that. I think it's good things happen to those who don't give up and who collaborate and work together to make something really wonderful happen. So I'm really honored to be here to thank those partners and sponsors who made this event and this park possible. And you're going to hear these names repeatedly from a number of speakers, and they should be thanked many times. So I'd like to list them now. That begins with First State Bank, Dow Chemical Company, Scott Holman, Jake Shinners, Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund, the Racer Trust, Saginaw Community Foundation, Saginaw County Parks and Recreation Commission, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and Rich Dzinski and Paul Biskevich, my colleagues at the Nature Conservancy. It definitely took a village. And with that, I'd like to share this incredible video that was produced by the Saginaw Basin Land Conservancy, sponsored by First State Bank. It'll give you a sense of the size, the history, and the incredible beauty that visitors will will visit and see when they arrive and visit. Jonathan?
Lush, green, peaceful preserve, home to birds, fish, and other wildlife, tucked away in southwest Saginaw. 334 acres at the confluence of the Saginaw River, a critical piece of the Saginaw Bay watershed, where the Tittabawassee and Shiawassee rivers join to form the Saginaw, just over 22 miles from the Saginaw Bay. property with rich and storied history. Once a natural area supporting indigenous peoples, this property was a microcosm of the development of the Saginaw Valley. Lumber, agriculture, transportation, mining. And as the Saginaw Malleable Iron Factory, producing General Motors automobile components, and even helping win World War II by producing munitions and providing a living for thousands of Saginaw families for almost 100 years. And now, after almost a decade of restorative transformation, these 334 acres return to public ownership and accessibility. As a Saginaw County Park, owned by and in partnership with the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. We can't wait for you to join us for a peaceful walk, a leisurely bike ride, fish along the Saginaw River in Birders Paradise, with species unique to this pocket of the watershed. It's a perfect place to take a break from city traffic, virtual meetings, and the busyness of everyday life. We'll see you soon in Saginaw.
So our first speaker today, I would like to introduce Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist. Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist has dedicated his career to fixing problems for hardworking families, from spearheading campaigns for equality and justice to harnessing technology to solve everyday problems for Detroiters. His focus has consistently remained on serving the public by getting things done. He and his wife and 3 children currently live in Detroit, and while the Lieutenant Governor could not be here today, he created a wonderful video message that he asked us to share with you.
Fostering thriving cities is a priority for me as Lieutenant Governor and this administration. One of our big needs in Michigan is outdoor recreational opportunities for people, especially living in urban areas. This new park fills that need. The transformation of this brownfield into a beautiful park along the Saginaw River will provide opportunities for running, walking, hiking, fishing, wildlife viewing in the middle of one of Michigan's great cities, all to the benefit of future generations. I want to congratulate and thank the group of people and organizations that work together to create this opportunity for the people who live, work in, and visit Saginaw, Saginaw County, the Nature Conservancy, Racer Trust, the Department of Natural Resources, and the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund, the Natural Resources Damage Assessment Settlement, Saginaw Community Foundation, and the Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy. This kind of public-private cooperation is a model for other projects. Your work together has created this place of rest and play close to people's homes and lives. We need more recreational spaces like this in Michigan, places where people of all backgrounds can experience the natural world, places accessible by a walk or a bike ride. We know from our past experience of the past few months that access to nature is good, not just for communities, but for the individual's body, mind, and spirit. The outdoors has been a safe place to recreate and a needed boost to so many people and their families who have sought a break from the pandemic. Every child should understand that the woods and waters of our state, the fish and wildlife, are their birthright and our collective responsibility. This park and others like it throughout our state's urban areas will help achieve that vision, help to teach those lessons to the next generation, and provide a space of renewal and recreation for everybody. Congratulations on this remarkable collaboration, and congratulations on the establishment of the Saginaw Riverfront Park.
Wonderful message. So our next speaker is Dan Eichinger, Director of Michigan's Department of Natural Resources. Dan has spent the majority of his career advocating for conservation of our natural resources and promoting outdoor recreation. He served as Executive Director of the Michigan United Conservation Clubs, an administrator at Central Michigan University, and as a policy advisor to then Lieutenant Governor John Cherry, focusing on conservation and natural resource issues, before becoming the Director of the DNR in December 2018. Director Eichinger also could not be here in person, and he asked us to share his special message.
This is Dan Eichinger, Director of the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. The DNR is proud to be a partner in making this park available to the Saginaw community and people across Michigan who visit this beautiful area. It's the DNR's mission to conserve, protect, and promote the enjoyment of our state's natural and cultural resources for current and future generations. Partnering to create the Saginaw Riverfront Park helps us fulfill our mission by conserving this critical piece of the Saginaw Bay watershed and restoring its natural features. In addition, providing opportunities for safe recreational experiences, healthy lifestyles, and wildlife appreciation for all Michigan citizens is a priority for the DNR. The park includes wetlands, shallow water ponds, forested river corridors, trails, and areas for fishing and wildlife viewing. And the park will be connected to local rail trail systems and the Iron Bell Trail, spanning the entire state from Ironwood in the Upper Peninsula to Detroit's Belle Isle. It was a priority a couple of years ago when we purchased the land, and now, in the middle of a pandemic, we are seeing as a state and a nation the importance of outdoor space for our mental and physical well-being. That's why, despite our need to keep a safe social distance, we felt it was important to share this exciting news now. Thanks to our many partners for this team effort: Saginaw County, the Nature Conservancy, the Racer Trust, Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund, the Natural Resources Damage Assessment Settlement, Saginaw Community Foundation, and other state partners, such as the Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy. Thank you all, and congratulations.
Our next speaker is Elliot Laws. He's the trustee of the Racer Trust. So Elliot was appointed by the U.S. Bankruptcy Court in 2011 to serve as administrative trustee for Racer Trust, which was established to clean up and repurpose for redevelopment the former properties of the old General Motors Corporation. And under his leadership, Racer has completed more than 80 sales, resulting in pledges of more than $2.3 billion in private investment and 16,400 jobs. He is a partner in the Washington, D.C. office of the law firm Crowell & Mooring, and previously served as Assistant Administrator for Solid Waste and Emergency Response at the U.S. EPA. Elliot?
Thank you, Helen. And I want to thank you personally and the Nature Conservancy for all the support you've given to the Trust. Not just here, but for other projects that didn't quite turn out the way we hoped. But you have been a great partner, and we really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. I'd like to thank all of the folks who came, all the elected officials and the partners who were involved in this. I'd particularly like to thank Michigan DNR and Saginaw County for coming together with the Nature Conservancy and seeing the opportunity to do something great for this community. We now will have an urban waterfront park for hiking, fishing, wildlife watching that is connected to and part of the larger Iron Bell Trail network that reaches from Ironwood in the Upper Peninsula down to Belle Isle in Detroit. Pure Michigan and pure solutions-oriented collaboration at its finest is demonstrated here. This is no better example of a successful private-public partnership and no better example of interagency cooperation. We had MDNR, Saginaw County, have a formal written partnership to manage this park. And this is a groundbreaking project and a model that we believe can be replicated to great effect across the state. There are so many individuals and organizations that work toward achieving this goal. In addition to the organizations represented here today, I'd like to thank personally Michigan Eagle, which has been a tremendous partner to the Trust as we try to complete the environmental portion of our mission across the state. and the US EPA, which has also worked with RACER to address and manage the environmental challenges and to ensure the safe reuse of this site. As Helen said, the mission of RACER Trust is to clean up and sell for redevelopment these former GM properties. And each of our properties is best suited for a particular use. And from the start, we believe the highest and best use for this property and its maximum value was to provide passive recreation opportunities on this 300+ acre riverfront site. The Saginaw Riverfront Park is proof that a property's industrial past need not be a barrier to its beneficial reuse. Our excellent cleanup team will continue to monitor and manage the environmental remedies at the property under Michigan Eagle's oversight. Many of the former GM properties that we took over had a storied history. Here, machine guns were made to help the Allies win World War II, and GM for decades provided thousands of good manufacturing jobs for the community. This site has value, memories, and meaning. We celebrate that history, and we join you in welcoming and embracing its future. This is a wonderful day for Saginaw, Great Lakes Bay region. Parks provide places for people to experience nature, to relax and exercise, and it further enhances a community's quality of life by making it more attractive to new residents and businesses. We are pleased to have played a small part in that history. Thank you for allowing RACER Trust to participate in this celebration. I'd like to particularly thank the RACER Trust redevelopment team, Bruce Rasher, Patricia Spitzley, and particularly Steve Black, who was our point person for this. Congratulations to all of you, and please enjoy the beautiful new Saginaw Riverfront Park.
Thank you, Elliot. I'd like to welcome Dr. Lisa Williams from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to the stage. Lisa is the branch chief for environmental contaminants, and she is based in the East Lansing field office for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Lisa previously held leadership roles in the response to 2 oil spills, the Deepwater Horizon spill and the Michigan Enbridge Line 6B pipeline spill. She's received national distinction for her accomplishments in environmental contaminants field and is known as a scientist, leader, and mentor, and great partner.
Thanks, Helen. Restoration and resiliency are another 2 of the themes that I think we're talking about here today. I'm here not just representing my agency, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, but a group of folks that worked together for many years toward reaching a settlement with Dow Chemical for impacts of releases from their Midland facility over the decades. That includes the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe, the Michigan DNR, the Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, and the Michigan Attorney General. We were able last November to announce the settlement we reached with Dow. And that settlement consists of a suite of projects and additional funding for projects in the future. But this is one of the dedicated projects that was a part of that initial mix specified right there in the consent decree. Overall, the suite of projects is going to result in protecting or enhancing over 8,000 acres in the watershed, as well as doing some projects in the water, like improving fish passage at the Dow Dam in Midland and continuing the improvements to fish spawning reefs in Saginaw Bay. But we're particularly excited about this project, and it's really fun that this is the first one out of the gate that we have some sort of celebration like this. The trustees have committed $1 million toward this project for habitat improvement for fish and wildlife, for trails, signs, and other things to help people connect with nature out here. And also a critical piece of what we wanted to put into the mix was money set aside for long-term stewardship of the project above and beyond what the RACER Trust is able to do. We want to make sure that taxpayers of the area have support and that financial help so that the storied industrial history doesn't become a burden to the community in the future. As some other folks have suggested, one of the things that I see in terms of this project's contribution to resiliency is at a personal, individual level. Has become much more clear to so many of us over these last 6 months that being able to get out and connect with nature, being in green spaces, is important to renew ourselves from the stresses of day-to-day life. So having a place like this that people are able to walk to, ride their bikes to, ride their scooters to, helps increase resiliency at a personal level. At the level of the city, the effects of the heat island, where urban areas tend to be hotter than the rural areas surrounding them. And this project, with all this green space, also helps contribute to continuing improvements in air quality. But I think one of the most important things that we saw demonstrated back in May when those dams broke up on the Tittabawassee River is that the resiliency of this area to extreme events of flooding is helped by having a green space like this that can absorb an awful lot of flood water when something happens in the watershed, whether it's a storm or a dam failure. For wildlife too, this area helps contribute to resiliency, providing additional habitat space and variety. Just upstream is the Shiawassee National Wildlife Refuge, with 10,000 acres of habitat and lots of opportunities for people to get out there. Upstream of that, Shiawassee State Game Area, and downstream of the City of Saginaw, we have the Pearl Island State Game Area. So this is part of a much larger complex along the river systems here that helps provide habitat for wildlife as they adapt to changes in the future and threats of the future. So again, the Natural Resource Trustees are really excited to be a part of this project, to be able to contribute to its development as a park, for habitat, for people connecting to nature, and for the long-term stewardship. So thank you to the folks who helped organize this celebration and allow us the opportunity to participate. Thanks for coming.
I'd like to introduce Michael Webster, the chair of the Saginaw County Board of Commissioners, next. Michael was elected to the Board of Commissioners in 2016, and he currently sits on 3 primary standing committees: Human Services, Courts and Public Safety, and County Services. Michael is also very busy because he serves on the Budget and Audit, Labor Relations, Legislative and Intergovernmental Cooperation Committees, as well as the Executive Committee, the Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works Board, Saginaw Future Board, Health Source of Saginaw, and the Saginaw YMCA Board. We're honored to have you. Thank you for being here.
You're right. Thank you very much, Helen. You're right. Very busy, but very excited to be here on this day. This is a momentous occasion for us, and I would be remiss if I didn't recognize a number of my colleagues that serve on the Saginaw County Board of Commissioners with me. Perhaps if I can make sure that they're all here, all of you could stand. My colleagues on the Saginaw County Board of Commissioners, there's Commissioner Ruth, Commissioner Matthews, Commissioner Stack is also here. Commissioner Stack? Commissioner Stack was here as well. But just wanted to highlight these individuals serving with me on that board and really being a part of making this happen as well. Another group that's very instrumental in making this happen is our Parks and Recreation Board. And I know that Ruth Abel is here, and just recognizing Ruth, let's give her a hand for serving on that board. Thank you very any other members of the report. I'm sorry, all of you guys, Amy, all of you guys, just give them a hand. And Darwin, I did not miss you. I see you there, and Amy, I see you there as well. Just finally to recognize our mayor as well, Mayor of the City of Saginaw, Floyd Clark, is also here. And then also our county clerk, Mike Hanley, as well, is in the back there. So. All of these individuals have a hand in this project in some interesting sort of way, and so I think it is very fitting that we recognize them. One of the things, and I'll be very brief, I just wanted to, it's been shared, the partnership that has brought all of this together, the history of this project has been shared as well, and I just thought maybe perhaps I'd just offer a few words just to personalize it just a little bit. In my office, I have had a book for several years now. It's titled Celebrating 90 Years of GM Powertrain and Saginaw Malibu Iron Plant. And it goes back and retraces the history of this particular site from 1917 all the way to 2007. One of the things that really stood out for me in terms of reading this information was that it says that a note for $4,000 signed on March 6, 1917 by a group of 16 forward-looking Saginaw men was the first step in what would become the world's largest malleable iron foundry. That comes from the history book here, and I just thought it was very fitting to note a couple of things there. The partnership. It's 12 individuals that came together with a vision for the future. And in that partnership, look at what they created that existed here for 90 years. And it grew obviously beyond their wildest dreams and imagination. And I think that is extremely notable when I think about what we're stepping into today. And to me, this is stepping into Saginaw's future. Stepping into Saginaw's future, because this now project represents another unique partnership, unlike or similar and dissimilar in some ways of what occurred in 1917. It's yet another unique partnership that came together to make this happen, with the multiple entities at the state, raising involvement, and then also as we think down to the local level. And I think it's significant, and this is why I wanted to call out Mayor Clark, was we have a Saginaw County Park in the City of Saginaw. And I think that is truly amazing as we mark our history and the historic occurrence that is taking place right now. I think we need to give ourselves a hand just to celebrate that alone. And the reason that we can celebrate that alone is I've served on the Saginaw County Board of Commissioners for 4 years now, and my wife, as soon as I got on the Board of Commissioners, she asked me a single question. Is there a county park in the city limits of Saginaw? And this is the first thing. So we're stepping into that future. I'll give my wife one more bit of credit here, is that, and this is why it's personal. Her dad, my father-in-law, who's now deceased, worked at the Malibu plant. And so it is very fitting that we're here today and that I've got this opportunity to recognize him and the blood, the sweat, and the toil that existed for him and many others in our community right here on this site. So to me, this is a wonderful occasion for us to really kind of reimagine the future of our community. And it starts, as pointed out here earlier, this is the first step in reimagining the city and its prosperity going forward. So thank you for all of your work and hard effort to make this happen.
So next I'd like to introduce a key part of the ingredient of making this happen is Brian Keenan-Michael, the director of the Saginaw County Parks and Recreation Commission. So Brian was born and raised in Saginaw and attended Central Michigan University for his undergraduate recreation degree and returned for a master's in public administration. He's worked with Saginaw County for almost 6 years, enjoying new and unique projects along the way. And I just want to say personal thank you to Brian for keeping this all together to the finish line.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon. Just first again recognizing what a beautiful late September afternoon we have today. Helen was in charge of weather, so we thank you for that, among other things. Saginaw County Parks and I are incredibly grateful, incredibly proud to be part of this partnership and to be here today. Our newest Saginaw County Park, and as Michael Webster mentioned, our first in the city of Saginaw. And park in the traditional sense may not be an accurate description here because we're not talking ball fields and playgrounds and sandboxes. We're talking interaction with nature and true beauty in natural spaces. And what an opportunity here at this facility. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to, well, probably not a few minutes, but in just a couple minutes, I'll invite Michael Webster and Jordan Beal to come back up, and we'll announce the name of this beautiful facility. But before that, of course, we wouldn't be here today with the many, many partners, and there's 1,000 thank yous where we'd be here all night, and I can't get to them all, but I'm sure going to try. So, of course, to the Nature Conservancy for the persistence and creativity to bring us here today. The Michigan Department of Natural Resources for supporting and empowering local municipalities through partnerships such as this. The Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund for almost $600,000 in development funding for this beautiful project, and hundreds of millions of dollars in funding for other such projects and acquisitions across the state. When we started this, the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, the DEQ, putting off Prince vibes, now the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy. Thank you not only for a brownfield grant that put us over the finish line in terms of some environmental needs, but also for partnership and cooperation throughout the way. Racer Trust, recognizing the property's true beauty and embracing creative solutions. U.S. Fish and Wildlife, not just through the NRDA settlement, but also our potential and hopeful future neighbors, just about a half a mile to the west. The Germania property, as mentioned, Greenpoint Nature Center, really connecting this map to my left, the largest one. You can see 10,000 acres of green protected environmental space. And then you can see the footprint of this property. And what a great finishing piece onto that 10,000 acres of protected space, so to U.S. Fish and Wildlife as well. Locally, the Castle Museum. As mentioned, this property has rich history, even before the Malleable Iron Factory. Centuries and centuries of history. And so for them to work with us and the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe to sit down with us and help to develop interpretive and interactive timelines of this property. So folks that do have maybe parents or grandparents that worked here or have a connection to the property can not only come out to connect with nature, but they can reconnect with that experience and maybe learn a little bit about what went on here during World War II and other times. So to the Castle Museum, absolutely, thank you. Saginaw Basin Land Conservancy and First State Bank for teaming up on that fantastic wildlife video. We'll be posting links later as well. I encourage you to check it out in a little bit darker space, but it is an absolutely fantastic video that really shows off and highlights this property's beauty. The Saginaw Community Foundation, one of the earliest local partners to champion some of the environmental needs that really brought the DNR and Saginaw County to the table. In Saginaw County, some of my parks staff that are here today, if you could stand and be recognized, please, parks staff. For creating a culture and an environment where I knew that we have the capacity to manage such a facility. We have an incredibly great team, so thank you to the Saginaw County Parks staff, the Board of Commissioners, both Michael Webster as well as Michael Hanley, who was the board chair when we started these talks. Thank you. The administration at the county level, the controller's office, the county civil council and outside environmental council, Glenn Fitkin and others coming together and really helping to put this partnership together. And finally, I want to recognize the event team, of which we started planning about a year ago, and we said, you know what we should do, rather than maybe rushing out a fall event when the closing happened October 2nd, we should wait and plan a great big spring open house. Well, maybe that fall event would have been a good celebration too, but after a few delays, again, the team that's been working now for almost a year in gathering support at the state level and all of you here today as partners, I want to thank the event team, Kristen Phillips and Jonathan from the Department of Natural Resources, Miriam Paul from the Nature Conservancy, Steve from Racer Trust. It's been great working with all of you, and I think we did still, at our last meeting, commit to having that big spring open house, hopefully next spring or summer when we have a ribbon cutting here. So now I'll ask Michael Webster and Jordan to rejoin right in front here. So Jordan knows the secret. He'll help you out. The name is under the bottom tablecloth, so we're going to flip that all the way up. I have to move my mic stand here. I'm going to click it off for a sec. Under the second one. So when talking about naming a facility, a couple of things that I just wanted to mention. The critical resource here, the Saginaw Bay watershed that spans multiple counties. The Headwaters of the Shiawassee are in Oakland County, just to scope that a little bit. Hundreds and hundreds of miles of streams and tributaries coming together right here at the confluence of the Saginaw River, where the Tittabawassee and Shiawassee join to form the Saginaw. Recognizing that critical resource was incredibly important to this project in this park. So I wanted to mention that before we reveal Do we want to do a countdown? All right, let's do a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Saginaw River, Headwaters Rec Area. Headwaters, defined as a tributary stream of a river close to or forming part of its source. One more additional note on the name. In the recreation sphere, rec, typically short for recreation. In this instance, although it does recognize that as well, we left it shortened as rec because it also recognizes reclamation, the reclaiming of this property, nature reclaiming this property that has been so beneficial to Saginaw for so many years. Now we're bringing it back to nature, we're bringing it back to public ownership and accessibility, and an absolutely wonderful opportunity to do so here at Saginaw River Headwaters Rec Area. This morning, we're on Facebook Live now, so I opened up the Facebook feed just to see what the first start of the day was looking like, and it was just interesting. This was the first quote I saw from philosopher Lao Tzu. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. We're looking forward and appreciative of everything that has been accomplished here and all that is yet to be accomplished. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Brian. Our last speaker today is Renee Johnson, the director of the Saginaw Community Foundation. Welcome, Renee. Renee is a Saginaw native too and spent nearly a decade working with Delphi Corporation in Saginaw and Troy before joining the Saginaw Community Foundation in 2004. She's been honored with a Ruby Award in 2005 and was named the Outstanding Fundraising Executive of the Year by the Association of Fundraising Professionals in 2008. Welcome, Renee.
Thank you, Colin. And truly, thank you everybody for being here today. This truly is a day of celebration. I mean, I can think back to when Helen and I first met and trying to really figure out how this is going to work, and here we are today. So I just think that with the new name, which don't even ask me to remember right now. I mean, thanks, Brian, making me laugh. And I mean, it's an awesome name, but Riverfront Park is always going to be what I'm going to remember. But it is a wonderful name, and it's right here. So, but thank you, everybody. Let me just say that I am so proud to be up here representing not only the Saginaw Community Foundation, but the entire Saginaw County and the Great Lakes Bay region. The Saginaw Community Foundation, our mission is to fulfill donors' wishes and enable community initiatives to come to life. This right here is an example of a community initiative that is truly coming to life. I mean, I don't know about the rest of you, but taking that drive through here, who would have thought that this was the site of the mallow plant? I mean, you can truly already see the wonderful nature. This is an initiative that people never would have thought of, but the Nature Conservancy, who I am so glad is a strong partner and will continue to be a strong partner for the Saginaw community. So thank you, Helen, and thank you to your team. And I'd like to say too that I don't know necessarily, even though that this falls under the mission of the Community Foundation, I don't know necessarily if we even would have been introduced to be a partner in this overall initiative if it wasn't for, and I promised that I wouldn't say his name. But it takes advocates and board members and supporters of the Community Foundation to introduce these types of activities and initiatives for the Community Foundation. And that's truly what happened. It was a former board member who believed in the Community Foundation, saw that the Community Foundation could be a vehicle to make something like this come to fruition. So I can't thank enough for those advocates and for board members like that individual who believes and sees the vision of the Community Foundation and the partnerships that can come about. But it was back in 2016 that the Saginaw Community Foundation Board of Directors looked at this project as one of our community improvement initiatives, which you have to know that the goal of our community improvement initiative is to select a county-wide project that has a tremendous impact on the overall community. a huge, broad range impact. And we had several other projects to consider that year, and it was very competitive. But there was a vision that was introduced in the application that Helen's team put together. A vision that really maybe none of us could really see, but it was maybe the map, it was maybe just the picture, it was the idea of having that sledding hill for kids to have again. It was that vision that the board of directors of the Saginaw Community Foundation saw or thought would be beneficial for our community. And it was at that point in time that they awarded our community improvement initiative to the Nature Conservancy on behalf of this now new name that's listed right here. I can't remember. So definitely proud that we chose it. And you have to know, and you know, I can't, Brian Keenan-Luckel is now a board member of the Saginaw Community Foundation. Proud to have him. And believe me, I'm going to make sure he keeps regular tabs, or keeps us well informed of what's going on. And we're definitely going to have to get the board of directors out here so they can finally visualize what they couldn't necessarily visualize back in 2016. But I'm truly proud that this is something that we can hang our hat on. But I'm also proud because the Saginaw Community Foundation, you know, our role in communities, our community foundation's role in communities across the country is to lay the positive foundation for the future of a community. And when I think back, and you've heard already a lot of the history that this site had, but when you think about the livelihood that General Motors had for a number of people in this community, a number of General Motors employees, the years that the livelihood it provided, but now we can think about the livelihood, the future livelihood it's going to provide for our families, our children. And I have to think that the unification it's going to provide to bring people together here, it's just a tremendous impact that, once again, I don't think would have happened if it wasn't for some strong leadership and partnerships that came together. In closing, and this kind of goes back to comments that Helen started off with in her opening remarks, this project truly represents partnership, collaboration, inclusion, unity. And I think that everybody would agree with me that this is something that our community and our world truly needs at this point in time. So thank you once again for being here today and truly help us celebrate this and spread the word that this new name, this park right here, it's going to be a great place for all of us to come together and be together. Thank you.
So, in closing, clearly the importance of this day is signaled by the incredible people that came here to speak. Thank you, all of you, for sharing your stories. Thank you to everyone who joined us online. We hope you will visit Saginaw soon and enjoy this beautiful park. It'll be here waiting. It's a legacy for future generations. Thank you so much. Thank you. Just a couple of logistical things for those watching on Facebook. We'll be live again shortly from the best vantage point. I think it's the top of the sledding hill. So you can anticipate this in the winter so you can see the vision for this park. And then also, if you're joining us from the media and would like a property tour, please stick around because Jordan Beal will be able to help you with that. So thank you, everyone. Thank you.